Let me run just through a few of the ways in which the Trump administration has been wildly successful. And let me start with the thing that is, of course, in the news. And what the president said going back 10 years, if you look at the campaign in 2015 and 2016, and he said it consistently through his second term, is that he does not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple.
Patriots, we need to talk. What we just witnessed at that Senate Armed Services Committee hearing isn't just politics. It's a crossroads, a battle for the soul of our national defense, our sovereignty, and frankly, our survival as the world's last great hope of liberty.
Nuclear weapon. It's very simple. It destabilizes the entire region. It gives this terrible regime leverage over the United States of America. As the president often jokes with me, everybody in Iran calls the Iranian leader the supreme leader. That's a pretty amazing title if you think about it. But he looked at me in the Situation Room a few days ago and he said, Mr. Vice President, you don't have to call him the supreme leader, but you would if the guy had a nuclear weapon. Because the leverage that nuclear weapons give you to destabilize the world, to destroy our economic interests, to destroy our national security interests, you don't want the worst people in the world to have a nuclear weapon. So what did the president do? For 60 days, he negotiated aggressively to encourage that Iranian regime to give up those weapons peacefully. And by the way, he was more than willing to accept a peaceful settlement to that problem. But again, this comes back to instincts. When the president realized that there was not going to be a peaceful settlement to that problem, he sent B-2 bombers and dropped 12 30,000-pound bombs on the worst facility and destroyed that program. And I think there are a lot of Republicans, by the way, I count myself among them, who after the past 25 years, they don't want to get involved in another long-term, protracted Middle Eastern conflict. We all saw what happened with Iraq and Afghanistan. And so what I call the Trump doctrine is quite simple. Number one, you articulate a clear American interest, and that's, in this case, that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Number two, you try to aggressively, diplomatically solve that problem. And number three, when you can't solve it diplomatically, you use overwhelming military power to solve it, and then you get the hell out of there before it ever becomes a protracted conflict. That is the Trump doctrine. And to the Americans who are worried about this becoming a protracted conflict, I think the president solved that very quickly. Not only did we destroy the Iranian nuclear program, we did it with 0 American casualties, and that's what happens when you've got strong American leadership.
Now, before I get started, let me be crystal clear. I support our military 100%. I support our warriors, their families, and the sacred oath they take to protect this republic. What I don't support? Career politicians who spent decades gutting our defense, turning our armed forces into social experiments, and now are clutching their pearls because the Trump administration is actually trying to fix it. Let's dive in. During the hearing, Secretary of Defense Higgs, General Kine, and Comptroller McDonald laid out the Trump administration's fiscal year 2026 defense budget, a budget that frankly, finally, puts America first. A $961.6 billion investment in strength, deterrence, and real-world readiness. Not woke training manuals, not rainbow-colored uniforms, not DEI garbage. Real strength, real power, real deterrence. And guess what? The left-wing senators, people like Senator Jack Reed, are up in arms. You know why? Because the adults are back in the room. The swamp is used to soft-spoken bureaucrats who play nice with globalists. But now we have a Secretary of Defense who's saying DEI is dead, merit is back, warfighting comes first. That alone is worth a standing ovation. Let's break this down. The Trump administration's defense posture isn't just about throwing money at the Pentagon. It's about fixing what Biden broke. We're restoring the warrior ethos. Remember when the military used to train killers, not TikTok influencers? Yeah, we're getting back to that. We're modernizing our nuclear force. You think China and Russia are playing games? They've been stockpiling and testing while we've been arguing over pronouns in boot camp. Now we're investing in hypersonics, 6th-gen air superiority jets, and long-range firepower. And here's what blew my mind, in the best way. 3.5% of GDP on defense. That's a Reagan-level investment in peace through strength. For too long, we've dipped below 3%, and what happened? Iran got bolder, China got stronger, Russia invaded Ukraine. But now, we're leading again. Now, Senator Reid had been nerved to go after Israel and call out Netanyahu for striking Iran preemptively. Let me ask you something, patriots. Do you want to wait until Iran nukes Tel Aviv, or do you want a leader who stops it before it starts? Israel has every right to defend itself, and so do we. This administration understands that waiting is weakness, preemption is deterrence. But the Democrats, they want Iran to get the bomb. Why else would they keep tying the president's hands when he tries to actually stop nuclear proliferation? And here's another thing. God bless our National Guard troops. Secretary Higgs got grilled for deploying them to the border and to help with law and order in American cities. Well, guess what? That's exactly what they should be doing. Border security is national security. You don't get to scream about Ukraine's borders while leaving Texas wide open. And the left's mad because troops had to cancel a few training rotations? You know what else interrupts training? Fentanyl, human trafficking, cartels. I'm glad our forces are standing up where DC bureaucrats won't. Now let's talk about these so-called accomplished generals who were fired. Sorry, not sorry. This is not a retirement club. If you're a general and you can't fight, can't win, or worse, if you've gone woke, you're gone. And if you think the Pentagon isn't bloated with political parasites who care more about media headlines than battlefield victories, you haven't been paying attention. We need warfighters, not politicians in uniform. Oh, and the media's mad they got kicked out of the Pentagon press room. Boo-hoo. When was the last time they reported the truth anyway? These people leak classified info just to get Twitter likes. I say good riddance. If they want access, maybe they should start respecting the military instead of trying to undermine it. My fellow patriots, what we saw in that hearing was a turning point. For years, the Pentagon has been co-opted by careerists, globalists, and cowards. But now, under this budget, under this leadership, we're putting America's security above politics. We're going back to a colorblind, merit-based, lethal military force. We're telling NATO, no more free rides. We're telling China, we're watching. We're telling Iran, you won't get away with it. This is about defending our homeland, protecting our freedoms, and making sure that when our enemies look at the stars and stripes, they think twice. Because we're not going back to weakness. Not now, never. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America.